welcome to a wonderfully wireless, hands-free
Jazz
edition.
Hands.
Jazz Hands Pro, but free of the other thing. I'm not doing this shit today, which is a treat. We have a special guest, someone that we refer to on this program all the time. He is of royal standing. He is, of course, none other than the good Prince himself. Prince, say a word. Say a word.
Good evening.
And that's him. That dulcet tonage over there is indeed the good Prince himself on the ones and twos. Any other enhancements we have there that we can deal with today? Oh, that really got me out of sorts. So ready for combat.
Reaching a new level of sophistication.
Absolutely, it is.
The show.
100%. The best part is like we can barely hear them.
Yeah.
And he can prominently hear them. So we'll hear them better when I get to. Judging by the good Prince's reaction, we're gonna have a whole doozy of a time here. Okay, very good. Okay, well, today we're going to be talking about just a walloper, just a humdinger of a game.
Yeah.
Dare I say, I don't even know how to start. Because here's the deal. All right, Uncle Bob, I want to beat you up because of the Astrobot episode that we did, where it was about the reveal of it. Right? We had a conversation, infamously on this show, dare I say, where I said it was every bit of a AAA game. It was potentially going to be Game of the Year. And this is I think around the time when Hellblade 2 happened. It happened to you.
Yeah. Not in the best place.
You were not in the best of places. But anyway, I have record of me saying that Astro Boy was going to, in general, kick butt. And it's not like you said it was going to suck. You never said that.
Okay. Let's get the record clear.
But I said I feel that on that episode I made it more clear that it was going to kick butt. And as it's turned out,
yeah. Oh yeah.
What do you think of the game?
It's the game of the year for me.
It kicks butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it genuinely kicks butt.
Not only it's one of those games where, for the viewers, if Brian and I ever come together and we say like, oh yeah, this gets the full-fledged, full-throated seal of approval from both of us, then it's absolutely a game that everybody should be buying. Because we have fairly divergent gaming interests. And
this firmly fits in
100%.
the center of that Venn diagram.
I just said for me, it's. I mean, there's a couple other games I want to try before the end of the year, but it's the best game I've played this year, and I played a lot of games this year.
I would agree with that.
So it's fantastic, and I have many things to say about it, but it's such a wonderful throwback in some ways to a game that's just a game, as opposed to trying to make like a social comment or a 6-hour movie.
It's a video game fucking video game.
100% that in all the best ways that you can. That's meant as a compliment. So it's great. You were on this corner really early.
Ah, yes. Let it overwhelm me.
And
this is the best idea that we've ever had. The beauty of talk radio, finally infiltrating the wonderful studio here.
Yes, our dream of being AM radio.
Yeah, just a zoo crew, just a straight up zoo crew. Okay.
This is going to be a long episode. There's a lot of laugh breaks.
That's fine. That's what the people want, ultimately.
No doubt.
Okay, so yes, I called this one a mile away.
Just based on the trailer, right? Because you saw that, and your memories of Astro's Playroom.
Yeah, Astro's Playroom really is what sealed the deal. When that thing first came out, like anyone who bought a PS5 in the early times of PS5, that first, we'll call it a year. I think that was the main takeaway, is how incredible this little freebie pack-in game was, and how it was like a window of the future of how the DualSense is going to actually work.
Well, how we thought that it would be incorporated into other games.
Yes, no one even came close to that game.
Or has.
And until they did it again in Astrobot.
Yeah.
So, before we get into, we can go tit for tat on like what we love about the game and all that stuff, but I want to have this little conversation, and it goes where it goes. Now that you've played Astrobot, now that the world has played Astrobot, and going back to our conversation, which the meat of that conversation, if you'll recall, is this game a AAA game? Now that it's out there, now that it's been critically acclaimed, and I believe it's selling really well too. So it's critically and commercially like a runaway success. Is this game a AAA game?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
So. It's it's hard to say the length because of course I'm going for the platinum, so I'm only about halfway to the platinum.
Yeah.
But I think most people are saying it's like 15 hours, maybe around there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your experience?
Yeah, so I haven't beaten it yet. I'm
Okay, that's
on.
good too.
I just started the 4th world.
Okay, I'm on the 3rd world.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
All right. So what I've read is that it's about 15 hours, but you can definitely have AAA games that are 15 hours.
Yeah, there's AAA games that are like fucking 6 hours.
Yes.
And they're
So
they leave a little bad taste in the mouth.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to meander the point. It's like it is a AAA game. It's a triple. Not only is it a AAA game, but there's very serious talk now about Astro supplanting like Sackboy or
Oh, he
Crash
already is.
or-
He's in marketing shit now. Where he took over the Sackboy deal.
So my 5-year-old son, who had been obsessed with the Wednesday TV show and has been growing his hair out to be Wednesday
That rules.
for Halloween,
That absolutely rules.
has now put that aside. So
There's got to be a soundboard thing for that. Come on.
I was giving you the freedom to talk.
He's now going to be Astrobot, and my wife is currently doing significant Amazon orders of various crafty type stuff to put like an Astrobot costume together for him. So, it's the combination of like how good the game is, how cute the mascot is, and how Sony branded the whole thing is. I would expect to see a lot more of that in the future.
So I'm curious about that because I think you're pretty well caught up with Sony stuff as being a early adopter of the PS5, and with nothing to play, you played a whole lot of PS4 games. Yeah. So the big strokes, your Uncharted's and all that other shit. Mm-hmm. But for me, and I'm kind of like a late entry PlayStation guy myself because I was regrettably an N64 kid, and I didn't really get into PlayStation until PlayStation 2.
You could call yourself a late bloomer, and you got in at
but
PlayStation
it's
2,
like 30 years
which
ago.
was like 20, at least 25 years ago. Like, okay.
Yeah, all right. Well, time is weird. Time is a funny thing, but it feels that way to me. Damn it. Anywho, there's so many references, so many like deep cut Sony like characters and shit like that.
Yeah, I'm missing a lot of them.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask about some of those, how those are landing for you.
When you're capturing the robots while you're playing, only about like a third of them, I'm like, I know that.
Yeah, that's a God of War.
Well, that I did play, and that was awesome. They did a whole level dedicated.
Yeah.
Those who don't know, a whole level dedicated to that. Plus, they have a significant number of homages to the God of War game, the newer God of War game.
Yeah.
And they were all great. But when you're just rescuing the robots, and some of them are branded for certain Sony games, and particularly the ones that look like they're like from Japanese games or Sims, I don't know. I don't know what the reference is, what the gimmick is. Mm-hmm. But I don't really care. Now, if you're playing and you do get those references, then great. Just one more thing. I'm telling you, this is my favorite game that I've played this year, and I didn't get that part of it, so that would just be a bonus.
So with that frame of lens, so that I am getting like 99% of these references.
Yeah.
So I'm getting all the enjoyment that you are as just like, this is an incredible video game, but then I'm also getting like this Smash Brothers-esque fan service on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's
just the best.
It's the best. Like, it's such a hot shot injection of like pure nostalgia and joy. And that's another thing I want to talk about this game. Like, this game to me feels like kind of a personal victory because we've mentioned it earlier, like it's a video game-ass video game. Yeah. And I think if we, in an upcoming episode, we're going to be kind of beating up Sony again a little bit, as seems to be something we do every 6 months. But there's a lot there. But like, if you look at the current climate of PlayStation and like your Concords and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And leading up to that, they did all this a public announcing of like, hey, we're making 6 to 31 live service games because that's what you all want, right?
Yeah.
Closer
to 31. I think.
Yeah, definitely closer to 31. But so it's we're at this point now where none of that shit has gone into fruition. Like, they've had to backpedal. Concords is this really public failure. And then here's this game, the one game, the PlayStation game that's come out this year.
Yes.
And it's like a 32-bit throwback of like a 3D platformer.
Absolutely.
And it looks amazing, obviously.
I mean, certainly it's the best game of its type since Mario Odyssey. And
I definitely put it in that box too.
And I don't want to directly compare the two because you're asking to choose between your children at that point.
Yes.
But it was just so much fun to play, and the point needs to be emphasized that at a time when, and I know that this drives you crazy, but when video games feel like they're going in one direction, the direction of like extended narratives and we're going to do epic character development and like saga games and single player experiences and all that, you can or if you're doing a multiplayer experience, then it's got to be a live service game, and it's like, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with those when they're done right, but it's really nice every now and then to get a game like this that is a throwback to what we grew up with in the 90s. It's a throwback to a game that's now all of a sudden 7-year-old Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
And it's just, as you said, a video game where it's just like, this is just really fun to play. You're playing it with a smile on your face the entire friggin' time you're playing.
The whole time.
And every single level and every gimmick that they do is really fun. In fact, because I'm only halfway through the game, I cannot wait to see what other crap that they have built up in there that I haven't even gotten to experience yet, because all the crap that I've played so far has just been like one joyous, innovative encounter after another. It's like, oh, that was super fun. Now we get 16 more levels of that.
I really love, you mentioned those levels, like the almost like carved out specialty experience levels where like there's a God of War one. The first one that you encounter is an Ape Escape one, and I know you've definitely not played an Ape Escape game.
That was one of the lost on me.
Yes.
But I still love the level.
Of course you did.
Great.
And so, okay, that level plays like an Ape Escape game, by the way, like where you're running around with a big net and you're catching apes.
Oh, that's what that was.
That's what, yeah, exactly. Oh, that's what I was doing.
That's the point of that.
So playing that level made me want a new fucking Ape Escape game. Because they haven't done one. I think the last one was on the PS3, like before we got into the 2010s. So yeah, that shit, to me, it stands out heads and shoulders about that game in particular, that it's there.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw to the Prince here. I'm going to ask the Prince. So I know you love Super Mario Odyssey. I know that's... Are you excited at all to play a new Super Mario Odyssey that is in the form of a PlayStation game?
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, of course.
Great content there. Softball question.
We got to ease him in. We got to ease the way we play fastball around here. Talking about how good games are good. We gotta ease them in.
You like Mario Odyssey? Would you like more Mario Odyssey?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Next question.
So states' rights. Oh lordy. Okay, so bringing it on back to the Astrobot.
All right.
Let's go tit for tat. What are some of the things that make you love this game so much? I'll start.
Okay.
The DualSense shit.
Okay.
I love it so much that it makes me angry that not enough of this stuff is done. I'm also at the same time as playing Astrobot, I'm playing Stellar Blade. Good personal friend of mine, friend of the show, the good Dr. Graham. He bought me a copy of Stellar Blade because he wanted to talk to somebody about this game. And we'll go into that in a future episode. I'll talk a little bit about it. But
I can talk to him about the game too. You tell him to gift me a
so
copy.
that you can you put it in the universe. It's just how these things work. Anyway, that game does a pretty good job with the DualSense. But then, so I'm playing that and then Astrobot at the same time, and there's no comparison.
So I remember when when I bought Returnal, which was just a few months, less than 6 months after the PS5 came out, and there was talk about Returnal like really utilizing the DualSense features, and it uses some of them, but not. If you played Astro's Playroom at the time, it's like it's not even close.
Well, the only thing that Returnal does that I think is awesome, and to my knowledge, no other PlayStation game does this, but I totally could be wrong. But the dual fire shit is really cool in Returnal.
Yeah,
where you pull the trigger halfway and that does one weapon, and then you pull it again and it does a different weapon.
Yeah,
I think that's genius.
And I have played some games that make use of the tension part of it, if you're like pulling a bow, something like that.
Yeah.
But Astro in general, the Astro franchise, they use the entire bevy of advancements and innovations on the controller. And it's really a shame that more games don't do this, and particularly Sony first-party games, although there haven't been a ton of original
that's true.
first-party games on the PS5. because it's such good marketing for the system. The Xbox controller doesn't have that. PC controllers don't have that. Not to that degree.
The Xbox controller, I remember when the Xbox One made it a thing that they put rumble in the triggers. And I thought that was kind of neat. And then, but this is like, it's so far beyond.
You can blow into the controller. Yeah. It's got the speaker into it, which is also a microphone.
Yeah.
When the thing I most noticed in the original game, I haven't seen it yet in the sequel, but it's probably coming, is when you're going and there's like raindrops at one part of the game, and it sounds like there's rain falling on your controller.
It feels like it. Like it feels like the raindrops. So that thing, that the all of the water effects in this game on the controller, like it's hard to describe with words. Like you have to feel it to fucking believe it, so to speak. But it really does feel like when the raindrops are hitting your controller, like it's a tangible feeling. When you're running from flat ground into water, like you almost feel this like splashing sensation in your hands. The footstep stuff is really to me all the most impressive shit about it. Like you can have all these different surfaces in one area, and the footsteps change, and the feel of each footstep change in real time.
And it really helps your immersion with the game. It's just a fun, innovative gimmick. Again, it makes all the sense in the world for Sony to just go full tilt boogie with this, because it's something they have that nobody else has.
Yeah, but it's to me, it's kind of crystal clear that there's one developer in the world, and it's Team Asobi that does this better than anyone.
Yeah, that sits there.
So it's kind of on them. Like maybe they could do a little Sharon, and Karen with the info.
So when we get Astro Universe, then that'll be the next.
Or when that new Killzone game comes out, because they're not going to make another stupid ass Horizon game.
How dare you?
Oh, I went there.
How dare
I
you?
went there.
Danny, we need a soundbite for Brian dying.
Do we have one? Let's see. Oh, cool.
No,
we'll
we don't
take
have
that.
one.
CNC Music Factory stab. Ah, there it is.
That's the go-to.
That's the slammer.
There's not going to be another Killzone. In fact, they just this week confirmed they confirmed the next Star Wars game that you don't care about is being worked on.
There you go.
The next Horizon game we can only speculate about. But I think if you wait a good 15 years.
15 to 20 more years.
Just in time for the PlayStation 7.
Yes. See, to me, as a quick digression here, one of the things I love about the Killzone series is like the weightiness of the weapons, and like there's a bunch of different feels to that, and it just like having a DualSense and that game together would be fucking tremendous.
That was one of those games, not Killzone, but the second Horizon game that was advertised as taking advantage of the DualSense features, and then I played it. And it's like, look, guys, after playing Astro, you've got to bring the horses if you're going to tell me that a game takes advantage of the DualSense. They did the same thing with Spider-Man.
Yeah. And
they'll use like one or two of the features. And it's not nothing.
Yeah, it's not nothing.
But just don't tell me you're taking advantage of the DualSense controller, because you're not. Astro takes advantage of the DualSense controller. Full advantage. And it's really difficult to even have any other game talk seriously about using the features of that controller after having played the game that takes full advantage of all the many innovative features of that controller.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing that you brought up.
I want to talk about how wonderful this game looks. And this is we are going to talk about the PS5 Pro in a future episode.
Okay.
But I want to bring it up here, make mention of it at least. So there's many, many reasons why I will... there are 700 reasons why I won't be buying a PlayStation 5 Pro. But 701 would be the fact that like I'm looking at this game and it's fucking looks so good. So incredibly good.
Everything that you need.
And it again, I'll take another personal victory here too. The reason why it looks so good, I mean, yes, there's tons of technical bells and whistles behind it for sure, but it's all style. And it's just like when you look at a good Switch game, a good
totally.
You know, like it's 1080p. It sometimes runs like garbage, but like there's enough style and substance to that artwork that makes it shine. And I think this game is merging those two worlds. Like the tech stuff is incredible and the style is incredible.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, and this is really, it's sort of Nintendo's calling card, because they have underpowered in terms of the horsepower consoles, but then they just, their aesthetic design choices are just so great that when you're playing, you never feel like you're playing an underpowered game. And this is a lot like that, because the game graphically looks just as good as almost any other game.
Yeah.
And you would
like AAA games even. Soundboard me, get me.
Easy there, compared.
Perfect.
Shit that you pulled.
Thanks, Corey.
I think you can at least cheer me out. I mean,
you've got at least one
like
support.
you own that.
May he rest in eternal peace.
That supporter's a little sick.
Look, we've tried to break him out of the prison in Double Switch countless times. Just countless times.
All right, so the graphics are really, 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 really great. And then, but you're right, it's really the aesthetic choices of how they built that world out. And sound and music is a separate category than graphics, but it all harmonizes together to give you the experience that you get when you're playing the game. So the little beep-boppy music bits that you're getting are just really fun, and it's like a fun world to just be in. And then the vibrancy of the color choices, like all of that's really good. And then it's sort of technically a part of the graphics, but really not. They've added a significant number of objects in the world, right? So there'll be like a giant...
I was going to bring this up. You're telling the physics of it. Go ahead.
Yes. So a giant like pile of cans or whatever,
Yes.
and then you break that up. And on previous episodes, you and I have talked, and this is sort of...
About this exact thing.
my corner, about this exact thing, and wanting worlds to feel more lived in is the term that I've used. But a part of that would be having objects in them that you can
all
mess
these crazy
around with.
physics.
And this is one, and they do it all the time. It's like, oh, here's a 1,000 acorns. Like you just run through them and watch them, and it's just like a little thing. It's not really a part of the game, but it's like it's noticeable enough that it's now the third thing that I'm mentioning as.
And I was going to mention this exact same thing,
right?
too,
As part of like the benefits of the game.
To me, it's as a graphical feature, it's so impressive to me.
Yeah,
like there's a scene where you open up like it's very like diorama-esque looking. But like you have to pull this door, and then all of a sudden this rush of, I think it's acorns, it's like it's whatever. It's these individually like beautifully rendered 4K assets by the hundreds, and they just spill out at you, and they interact with you perfectly. Another thing that's along the same line too is like all the liquids in the game.
Yes.
Like there'll be like puddles, and you split through them, and like they just morph and manipulate based on how you move. It's so fucking incredibly impressive.
Yeah. So when you're talking about that's its own category, but the holistic experience, basically the visual presentation of the game. You can talk about the graphic choices, the aesthetic choices, and the fidelity to that, and all of that. But to really discuss this in the way that the game deserves, it's the graphic choices, the aesthetic choices that they made, combined with the music and sound choices that they did, combined with the tactile experience of like using the controller to actually immerse yourself in all these experiences. And then having these physics objects in the world as well to just draw you in and just be, it's another fun thing, a fun little gimmick that you can play with in the game. All of it in total is just like, it's just such a wonderful experience.
It's one of those rare games where like every time the developer is met with a choice, like they choose the very best one, like every single time.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, what's the best possible music for this stage?
Yes.
This. Like what's the most fun that you can have with like a tiny little like weird physics engine thing? Oh, it'll be this. And they just knock it out of the fucking park.
Every time.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'm not sure how much of Sackboy Adventure you played, if any.
We played. I played with my son most of it.
Okay, but that was a game that did a really good job of incorporating musical bits, including like licensed music.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of licensed music.
Into the game, and it really added. It was fun. I played it with my own son, and this feels like the first game since then. It's not licensed music, but the first game since then where I'm not like really a music guy. I'm not like a sound person. Not all of us.
Unless it's female singer-songwriters that have a lot of things that they want to get off their chest. Yeah, I mean, there are levels to this.
I'll sing Wilson Phillips in the shower.
Yeah.
I mean, of course. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Right. Or if it's Hamilton, I mean, of course, I just, I'll drop some knowledge on you anytime I want to.
I feel at any time, feel free to just break into Hamilton because it's the right thing to do and the right way to do it.
But outside of those limited circumstances, not really a sound guy.
Yeah, not a big music fan.
Right.
Yeah.
But in this game, the music and the sound and the way it's incorporated into the gameplay is noticeable enough for even a non-sound loving troglodyte like myself when it comes to that. I notice it as part of the whole. I just cannot. So I think I'm painting a picture for you, and the picture is this. Like you said, every single choice that they made was the right choice, and that goes for the aesthetics. That goes for the gameplay.
It goes for the price. The game is $10 cheaper than other games for no reason.
No reason at all.
Yeah, it's just like, no, we want you to save $10 because we're nice.
I don't. We'll save it for the Sony episode, but it's like You remember they gave that DLC for God of War for free?
Yeah,
that I absolutely would have paid.
And they're doing that
$20
with
for.
Astrobot, by the way.
Oh yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that too. The new stuff. And it's like, I'll give you money for this. That's fine. Don't ask me for money for games like Concord,
Yeah.
or or like some of that other crap out there. And don't try to charge me $70 for. But for these games, you can charge me money. I'll pay you.
Yeah,
It's
I'll
like-
happily.
Yeah.
If you're making games like this, I will happily pay you money
So
for them.
the price is right, and the game is really just a symphony of just wonderful game-based choices, and there's not a single wrong one amongst the entire swath of
Yeah.
them, at least that I've come across so far.
So, what's okay for me? One of the things that I think a lot of people, and I'm including myself here. So I have a PSVR 2. I enjoy using it. The Astrobot came into real gaming prominence because of a VR game, right?
Yes.
So I would love the next step somewhere, in if they're gonna, and it looks like they're doing a bigger push with PSVR 2, which we can talk about when we get there.
A couple years too late, but
A couple years too late. But they're doing it. Like, they know that this thing exists. I would love nothing more for them to take all the work that they've done in this game and do another VR Astrobot. Because I haven't played the original one on the original PSVR, but if you look at any metric, it's like it sits at the tippy top of the list of like the best PSVR game that they did.
I would love it as a reason to put my VR headset on.
Yeah.
But I think after the critical and commercial success
Oh,
of
it's
this,
yeah.
Sony's looking at Asobi and is like, "Good job, guys. Go do that again."
Yeah. You're going to do that again for a cycle?
At least.
Yeah. And we're going to get milk out of this cow.
One thing I wanted to ask you, and I'm not trying to to bait you or anything.
Please
but-
bait me.
Yeah, okay. One of the few criticisms that I don't have with the game, but I've seen out there, is that it borrows a lot from other games. It borrows from Mario games. It borrows from, we talked about Sackboy. It borrows gimmicks from other platformers that we've seen. A, did you notice that? B, did you care? I think you probably did, and you probably don't. You probably did notice it. You probably don't care, because that's basically how I felt.
Yeah.
But since it's sort of out there from dummies
Yeah.
as a reason to not like the game, I just want to know what you thought about that.
So we've already mentioned Mario Odyssey a couple times.
Yeah.
It feels like a Mario-less sequel to Mario Odyssey,
That's good.
and I mean that in terms of like the quality of the game as well as like the creativity of the game.
Yes.
To me, like, did Mortal Kombat borrow from Street Fighter? Sure did.
Yeah.
But do both kick as much ass as possible? That's also true. So that's where I would file this complaint, is that this is a very, very, very well-made 3D platformer in an era where 3D platformers could definitely use the attention, and we're seeing that when it's done right, everybody loves this shit. Like, adults, kids, everybody.
It was pretty clear to me that the makers of this game have played a lot of Nintendo games.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. I mean, there's Splatoon stuff in there.
Yes.
There's a lot. But they brought enough of their own ideas to the table. And again, the execution of it is just pitch perfect.
Yeah, it's the tippy top.
Yeah, that I didn't really care at all. I just don't. It doesn't feel like a ripoff. Even if it did feel like a ripoff, Mario Odyssey is 7 years old now, so
Yeah.
we could use a new game like this.
Big time.
We got a new game like this. We could use more games like this. So I didn't mind it at all. I just brought it up.
It's a
because
thing that exists.
It's a thing that's
Yeah.
out there. And also, it's hard to not just sit here for the entirety of the show talking about how much this game rules.
Yeah, it rules hard. Okay, so as we wind her down here, forward thinking. What do you? I've already kind of said mine. I would love to see another another VR on the PSVR 2 of this. Down the road, what do you want out of Astrobot now?
VR2 will be. I'll take him however I can get him. More Astro in my life. I'll be fine with a sequel. I'll be fine with DLC. I'll be fine paying for it.
Yep.
And now this developer, because they pulled it off twice, I trust them enough to just say, just give me something and please don't make me wait 10 years for it. So my only request is that there's 4 years between Astro's Playroom and this. I can go another 4 years before getting a full-fledged sequel if you give me some DLC in there.
Yes.
But lately, and this is like sort of another sort of topic in gaming, we're going longer and longer in development cycles, and it's starting to drive me nuts waiting for like literally a decade
Yeah,
for certain games.
It's
now.
also measurably dragging down the entire industry.
Yes. So give me whatever game you got, guys, but just don't make me wait 10 years for it, please.
I would be really interested to know what the development cycle was for Astrobot. I haven't seen it anywhere online if they've talked about it. I should probably look harder than I've actually did before I make this statement. But it feels like, so if they began work on this game, like, let's say right when the PlayStation 5 launched, because Astro's Playroom is included.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, but that's still like 4 years?
Between 3.5 and 4, yeah.
Somewhere in there. Even if you took it to 5, like let's say that they've been working on this game for 5 full years, compared to how so many other games take so much longer, and then the output is nowhere. Couldn't lace this fucking thing's shoes.
Right.
This team, if they can, let's say they pull this off in only 4 years, and it's of this quality. Like, I think the sky is kind of the limit. And you know what? Let's go ahead and burn them out. Well, I'll just say it. They're really, really talented.
60-hour work weeks, guys, starting now.
Right. Yeah, you're on the clock. They're French. I just found out that they're French.
Yeah, I've seen some interviews with them, and I don't know where I thought that they were from. Maybe I just didn't think.
I just assumed Japanese.
And yeah, I guess I would have assumed that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, the timing is such that if the next Astro game probably could be a launch title for the PS6.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Well, who knows?
Or launch window at least.
Yeah, but again, with the Pro coming out, like who really? Everything's topsy-turvy, upside down.
Yeah, it's a weird world we live in.
Yeah. Okay. Is there any other closing things you want to bark out into the world about Astrobot?
No, I would just say that I had a really good time with the different, like, there's levels where they have voxels. I just played those last night.
Hell yeah.
And those were super, super fun. And then really just all the different, anyway.
Actually, I'll take that. I'll take that thing.
Okay.
So, Super Mario Sunshine, right? It's a game that kind of, it sucks. I'll just say it sucks and I hate it. But it's a 3D Mario game, so like I really desperately want to love it. I've bought it multiple times, but every time I go back to that well, I'm reminded like the camera sucks, the controls are weird, like it's just not there. But one of the things that is there were these levels where Mario would beam in, and then his flood pack, the thing that gives him all the mobility in the game, is taken away, and it's like this pure 3D platforming. Little bite-sized chunk level. So Astrobot has tons of those. The voxel thing is a part of that. There are these levels that are they represent the buttons on a PlayStation controller, and like that's where like the real challenge to the game is. So like I just did the other night. There was 4 circle button levels in a world, and there are these 30-second to 90-second. Pretty challenging 3D platforming things to do.
I did those. Yeah.
I love that shit. And it's you want to talk about the balance of like the gameplay design, it's there. Like if you have a young kid and you want to play this game with them, like they'll be fine. Like but if you want challenge, just like a Mario game, like the 3D Mario games always bury this stuff in like the end game. Like Mario 3D World did it. Even you can make the argument it goes all the way back to Mario 64. Anyway, like this rightly does that trope as well, where like if you want a little bit more challenge, it's there for you to seek it out. And I love that shit. I think it's awesome.
So one of the reasons I haven't played the game more is I can't get time on my PlayStation to do it because I have 2 sons. One is 8, one is 5, and they both love the game, and I love the game.
Right.
So we now have 3 different types of gamers: a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, and then a 45-year-old. All like super into this game, which is sort of another asset of how good it is.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that they can each enjoy it in the exact way that you're describing. The 5-year-old just plays the first world, and he can do it. It's like a Blue's Clues thing. He just does it over and over again, and loves it every single time.
Right.
And then the 8-year-old is he's challenged to beat the game, and was able to do it, and that felt like a real accomplishment. And then, of course, Daddy's got to get that platinum.
Yeah, you got to feed that dragon.
So we all get what we're looking for.
Right.
So it's another great thing about the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll say this: Astrobot couldn't be more recommended by this dynamic duo. I'll even throw in the Prince back there, even though he hasn't played it yet. I know he would love it.
He would love it.
He would.
So really,
love
so
it.
all 3 of us would recommend it.
All 3 of us, and we will put words in your mouth, pal. I can't hear it, but I know Corey's speaking for him. Okay, so I'll say thank you so much for watching. We're on Spotify. Give us a 5-star review, all that good stuff. Like, comment, all that cool YouTube shit that you do, that we ask you to do. Continue to do it for the fine uncle, for the good prince. Let's summon some sort of Astrobot themed gentleman's handshake. What do you think? And the fact that to celebrate our wireless, buttonless production here.
Okay.
Let's see. So let's just, let's do this and then just kind of like shake shit about.
How does a bastard, orphan, son of a whore and a Scotsman,
This
dropped in the
sucks.
middle of a forgotten spot in the Caribbean by Providence or impoverished and squalor, grow up to be a hero and a...
Do you have that in a single?
Cut
Do you
him
have
off.
it in a single?
Cut
please?
him off. Cut him off. Here we go. Can we do that again?
Yeah.